there, and welcome to the latest edition of USRA Coalition's Let's Talk About It. I'm your host, Mike Koth, and please remember that the purpose of Let's Talk About It is to draw issues out of darkness and bring them into the light in the hopes of awareness and prevention. Remember, the USRA Coalition is a partnership between the boroughs of Upper Saddle River and Allendale, New Jersey. Members consist of elected officials, parents, school administration, police, health professionals, clergy, local businesses, and members of local community organizations. The mission of the USRA Coalition is to educate and create awareness in our communities to prevent and reduce substance abuse and other health-related issues. And that brings us to today's guest. For the past 20 years, she has been both a school psychologist and clinical psychologist. She began her career back on Long Island at Rosalind Middle School, and recently has her own private practice right here in Ho-Ho-Kus, where she works in close alliance with schools, psychiatrists, college advisors, learning specialists, and other therapists. She is Dr. Jenn Altman. Dr. Altman, welcome to the program. How are you?
I'm very well. Thank you so much for having me.
So listen, let's jump right into it. There's a lot going on these days. And, our elected officials and experts with the CDC and doctors around us, they continually tell us that the situation is fluid. Truth be told, the situation is volatile. It's uncertain. It's complex, completely ambiguous.
Yes.
Tell us, what are you seeing with some of your patients and the people that you see, namely our adolescents in the local community? How are they coming to grips with the pandemic, and what are you seeing?
Well, I think that at the end of the day, the amount of anxiety that accompanies this degree of unpredictability and that fluidity, and that you discussed, I think it all has to do with the degree of control that any one of us feels at any time over our situation. And what this pandemic has done has completely upended any sense of predictability, planning, control that we kind of, always believe that we have or that we've had in the past. So that planning for things that make us happy, like celebrations and vacations and just even simple times together with grandma and grandpa, have kind of had to go out the window. And so what results is this sense of groundlessness and a really difficult time feeling okay, just feeling content, feeling balanced, which was such a tricky thing to have even before this all had happened, but now it's kind of amped it up. And I think that in, the population I work with, you're talking about, teenagers and young adults and even, parents who are dealing with a tremendous degree of, in addition to the uncertainty, a degree of grieving, of loss, because there have been all these life milestones and moments that we've not been able to have the way that we should, whether it's a graduation, a bar mitzvah, weddings, big birthday celebrations. And in addition to that, just the starting a new school. So like the 8th graders going to 9th grade, or the seniors graduating, missing out on proms and, school trips and all of these things. There's just so much that we haven't been able to have, that it's very difficult to not immediately go to the loss and to really be grieving, all those things that, that we haven't been able to have. I also would say that because we've all been in such close quarters for such a long time, even with some of the restrictions lifting, I would say that all the family together time, and I'm looking at this from more like the, more of the crisis or the problematic part, because I think there's obviously there's so much good that you can find if you look for the silver linings, you can find them, but the conflict, can also be amped up because of, different generations. Like if parents feel children, shouldn't be going and mixing with other kids versus, the teenagers who may feel like, oh, I'm not going to get sick, or if I get sick, it's no big deal. Or, my interest in meeting my friends and going to this party is much more important than worrying about a silly, this virus thing that's ruling our lives. So I think there's so much to it.
Yeah, no doubt. So this is all impacting us to varying degrees. And, whether you're an adolescent, teenager, an adult, we all have something to deal with. How do you decipher between where the tipping point is? What are some red flags to look for someone who's struggling with this? And there's some struggle to be expected with everything that's going on. But when does it get to a point where there's real reason for concern for someone's mental health, or if they're experiencing some sort of anxiety or depression that's a byproduct of this?
Absolutely. Well, I think that, kind of this like new normal that we talk about has already built in a certain new baseline of anxiety and depression. I mean, I think all emotions kind of run on a continuum from, just mild, like whatever disruption or whatever annoyance or worry, to the more clinical terms that we talk about, with like clinical depression, clinical anxiety. And so we as individuals have a natural place on that continuum. And I think what the pandemic has done has taken our natural place, and I think for many people have elevated that, so that there is a certain degree of anxiety or worry, maybe not anxiety, because that implies like, the more clinical, but there's a certain degree of worry that we're all kind of living with. And I think that, the best kind of way to know if it's kind of tipping over into an area of kind of alarm is if you see any kind of extreme behavior changes. So that if your student who maybe, we've all kind of been contained, but maybe student who used to still be very active on social media or meet friends outside or reach out in different ways or be interested in things, is no longer, doing that they've kind of retreated inward more, that any kind of school achievement that you've seen happen, that they are not as engaged in their work in a way, compared to what they were like kind of before. If you see, any kind of serious difficulties with self-regulation, whether it be sleeping problems, overeating or not eating at all, you know, uh, any kind of behavior that just is departure from what the norm is for you or for your for your child. I think those are the basic, like the biggest red flags. um, because I think that's something we've all had to do for ourselves and for our families, is to try and find ways for you know for us all to feel more okay. And so even if the things you're working with, even if the things that used to bring a smile or that used to be a treat, no longer feel like they're working, then maybe it's time to reach out to someone. And, fortunately, we have this amazing, you know, kind of spate of resources available, whether it's just internet, because I think there's been so much written on how, what to look for and what anxiety, how to deal with anxiety. We have so many, opportunities at the Wellness Center at, Northern Highlands, with the new department forming, that there's so many opportunities and so many amazing engaged individuals that students can feel very comfortable kind of reaching out to, even virtually, if they don't feel like going in, or they're not comfortable in person. I think the teachers and the administrators, I just feel like everyone is so like dialed into this right now. Even the K through 8, with our work in the K through 8 in Upper Saddle River with our parent wellness partnership, there's every level people are paying attention. So if you feel like your child needs someone to check in with, or you're not sure as a parent, and you just don't know what you're seeing, please don't, I would say, don't hesitate to reach out to somebody, because there's so many people who just want to help and who can give you some peace of mind if you're feeling really worried.
Well, that's great. And that's a great segue into our next topic too. But, sometimes and oftentimes when you see something that's alarming, sometimes you don't know what you don't know, and you don't know where to turn to or who to go to. So it's terrific that you point out those resources, and really they're all around us. You just need to go in the right direction.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
So a lot of what we've been discussing is reactive. Tell us a little bit more about your proactive work, because you have done some work with Upper Saddle River Schools and the Parent School Wellness Partnership Committee, and you've been working closely with Dr. Siegel. What have you folks been on to?
Well, I think even before the pandemic began, we were working on, just coincidentally, I think there's been a push for wellness. It's not new, but I believe that the focus on it has definitely, kind of amped up like 300%. But we were working on trying to integrate just more of the emotional, social emotional education, awareness, into the day-to-day. So at the K-8 level, we were looking at how teachers were teaching, because social emotional learning is not new. Our schools in Upper Saddle River, and I think in Allendale as well, are like blue ribbon schools of character, have gotten awards. So this isn't like, we're not like reinventing the wheel, but what we did do was just really kind of shine a light on this one particular area of wellness and see in what ways we can integrate it more. So we have a committee made of administrators and parents, and a bunch of us volunteered for all different kinds of things. So we went into some of the morning meetings with the the youngest grades, which were like, it's so sweet being so removed from that myself. It was very, very cute to see how teachers are integrating, wellness and mindfulness into the morning meetings with children who are in kindergarten. That if starting that to teach them that language when they're so young, it becomes just part of their toolkit in dealing with day-to-day pressure. We've also created a series of speakers, this Parent Wellness Academy, which actually kicked off last night with a wonderful speaker who spoke about the gift of failure. And we have lined up for the next, for the year, we have another 9 speakers who are going to talk to us on a variety of topics, from everything from executive functioning to wellness, to meditation and mindfulness, to body image and more integrative health. So we have this great kind of opportunity, to shine a light on that and to offer that to parents. The other thing that we've been involved with, which I think has also been really fun, was more kind of the teacher continuing education. And we've been invited in to do kind of those kind of workshops with teachers as well, whether it be through, the small groups. Like last year, parents did a parent panel. A couple of us who are professionals ran workshops specifically about anxiety and executive functioning and the impact in the classroom. So it's really been, and I think the district called in a lot of other experts to do, and the whole day was devoted to wellness, which I thought was fantastic, because it really does impact, every level of the academic process.
We've been saying for years up at the high school, we've been looking to reach out to our middle schools, because by the time the student who's experiencing what you described and what we've been talking about, and they get to high school, sometimes it's too late for that student. And what we've been saying for years is, plant the seed at the middle schools or even the elementary schools, because, the old expression, bend the tree while it's young, because that's the way it's going to grow.
Absolutely.
So we want students to grow in a healthy setting in which they feel supported and they have resources they can access. And it sounds like you guys are really on track to continue that. And, we hope to partner with you guys soon.
Absolutely. No, and it's just so nice to be in a space, a district with an administration that values this as much as, someone like I do. And I know, we all do, I think, especially now.
So for a parent who's out there who has a child who's struggling, what is the best advice you could give them based on your experience?
So 2 things. One is don't be afraid to ask the questions. Like, don't be afraid to talk to your kids about their emotional life. I think part of what happens sometimes when our children are feeling these strong feelings that could be overwhelming, could just be concerning, that they don't want to trouble us. I think a lot of the times they just kind of want everything to be normal. So they kind of like try to put it away. They don't want to inconvenience you because they don't want us to worry. Our parents don't want us to worry. So the other thing I would say, our kids, I mean, I said that wrong. Our children don't want us to worry. So if you do reach out to them and just say, hey, I feel like you're not yourself. Like, I feel like you're, something's going on, you can talk to me. Part of the reason they don't talk to parents is because they are afraid of how their parents are going to react. And I think because we are very often so keyed into our children's happiness, and like, as a parent, it's like you're only as happy as your unhappiest child. Like, we tend to say like, oh, well, what can I do? How can I fix it? Come on. Oh, no, it's okay. You're going to be fine. No, it's so normal to feel that way. Like, we tend to try and like fix it right away. And what I would say is that you have to get yourself as a parent into a place where you can say, even if inside you're going, oh my God, what am I going to do? How am I going to help him? I hate seeing him this, just to hear them out, because more often than not, your kid has been carrying all this around and they haven't been able to talk about it. And you're giving them this gift by saying, I'm here and I'll listen to you. Sometimes this is best done when you're in a car and you're not like intensely like facing, your child, because we all know how teenagers really love to be like looked right in the eye and spoken to that way. So, sometimes it's those opportunities that are like you'll be cooking dinner together, or you're in the car going to, run an errand, or, you're, going for a walk, because not many places we can go, and just to have that kind of quiet time. And then, if you just lay the groundwork, it will percolate back up. If you give them permission to speak, I think that very often they will come to you. And if not to you, you could even say to them, if you're not comfortable talking to me, I would love you to talk to me. And if you're not, I want to reach out to someone on your behalf. So to offer to them, either a professional in a private kind of practice, or the wellness, department at the school, or a guidance counselor, or someone else who could be a trusted adult.
So it's so critical to establish that safe zone, even with your own kids. So like you said, that, kids respond to how the parents react. If you overreact, they're going to clam up. If you are open and listening and willing to listen, be amazed what kids can say sometimes. And we even see that in school setting. Absolutely.
And I just think one of the best things you can do as a parent when you don't know what to do for your kid is to say, what, I am so sorry. You empathize and you connect. What, I understand, I get it. Like I have some of these feelings too, but I don't know all the answers. But what, if you want to talk to me and if we want to get help, we'll find someone who can help. Because, we always think we need to be omniscient. Like we need to know everything. We need to have all the answers. And that's part of the problem, is we're so problem solving oriented, and emotions are not always, sometimes they are, but these kind of feelings are not just like a one and done, oh, we'll just, whatever, we'll buy this brand and it'll work better. Or we'll, so I just think it's really important also for parents to know that the expectation is not that they're going to fix everything, but that they're going to help support their kid along the way to figure out what needs to be done to help them feel better.
And also give them a sense of ownership over their own struggles.
Absolutely. Especially as they get older.
All great stuff, Doc. All right, we've come to the time in the program where it's time to play first and goal. You got 4 downs. We got 4 questions. When we get to the fourth down, you can kick or stick. So it's really up to you. But are you ready to play?
I guess so, sure.
All right, here we go. Listen, we're between holidays. Tell us, what's your favorite Halloween candy?
My favorite. I love the 100 grand.
Oh my God! Really?
I love them. I love them when they were called $100,000 bars.
They only get those at Halloween. They're the best. That
only at Halloween.
Only second to like a Goldberg's peanut chew. I love those things.
Oh my God! It's like
yeah. You only see
another real classic candy.
So listen, you are a clinical psychologist, but you're a person too. What do you do to unwind? What do you do to relax?
Well, I'm a huge reader. I'm an avid reader. Love to read fiction. I'm not into like the nonfiction these days. I really enjoy a story that will transport me. I like everything. I like all different kinds of I'll read like fun, like trashy kind of novels, but I also love real literature. And, I love Reese's book club picks, and, I kind of love to read. I also love to take walks with my dog, which is super fun, especially on these beautiful days, and kind of just be outside, because it just reminds you oh, she's great. She's a beagle cattle dog mix. So she's like a black and white spotted beagle. She's beautiful. She's really Missy.
All right.
Missy. She's great.
And Missy out for a stroll.
Yes, I love doing that too. And also, honestly, anytime I can see or talk to my friends, and even if it has to be Zoom, which I prefer, if we could meet in a backyard or something. But that connection is also, I think, cannot be underestimated, the value of that.
Awesome stuff. Good stuff. All right, you're moving the ball pretty well. You might punch it on 3rd down. I don't know. Listen, upcoming holiday, what's your favorite Thanksgiving side dish?
Ooh, I actually make a whipped sweet potato. You can't even call it a souffle because it's so dense and heavy, but I top it with marshmallows and bake it. And that, to me, it's like candy. You bake it, like you mix in, it's got like oh my God, like brown sugar and like sweetened condensed milk. Like it's like nothing healthy at all. It's like candy with dinner, which is such a treat. And then you bake it with the marshmallows so they get nice and brown, and it's super, super fun.
That's unbelievable. Isn't it
Delicious.
weird how bacon makes everything better?
And that too.
Uh,
Yes,
Unreal.
delicious.
All
Salty,
right.
sweet. Good.
Fourth down, Dr. Altman. Kicking or sticking? What are we doing?
I'll stick.
All
All
right.
right.
Going for it. Let's punch it
Going
in.
for it.
If you could have dinner with anyone, individual, in history of the world, who would it be?
Ah,
Anyone in
oh my
history.
gosh. Anyone in history? It's like a college essay. Anyone in history? Um, who would I sit down with? Anyone in history? I think I would choose this is a hard one. Like
Hey, you said you were going for it.
alive, could it be alive or dead, like anyone or just
Whatever
like
you want.
okay. I don't know. Part of me, I think I for some reason I thought about Stephen Sondheim. I'm not sure why that totally popped into mind, but I'm a huge theater fan and I've always loved, theater and performance when I was younger. And I think he's just such a genius because it's not just about the music and the lyrics it's about the human condition. And I just think he'd be such a fascinating dinner companion. I think there'd be so much to talk about.
All right. That's fascinating. Good choice. All right, good stuff. Well, listen, Doc, thanks for playing and thanks for being with us today. Great information. And everyone, please be on the lookout for the Upper Saddle River Schools speaker series, wellness speaker series. You can find information on their school website, and I'm sure information will be distributed to parents as those dates draw near. So, Dr. Altman, thank you so much for your time today. It's been a great pleasure of ours.
Thank you so much for having me. Take care.
All right. And that's all for today. That's it for this edition of USRA's Let's Talk About It. Remember, we're drawing these issues out of the darkness and into the light in the name of awareness and prevention. And with everything around us, your phone, social media, TV, all this technology, sometimes it's just best to sit around the table, pull up a chair, let's talk about it. Because remember, if you're not at the table, it could be on the menu. All right, that's it for this time. We'll see you next time. Have a great one.